Hi, good morning. Happy Venus Friday. I want it to be a thing, but that's an ego stuff. Hey, I'm recording this right as Chiron, the wounded healer, has gone in retrograde. And that's what you're seeing on the screen at this time is the chart of when he just went retrograde. And why is this important? Well, I, I want us to look at our lives in 30-day blocks. So we're in Leo season. Leo goes to the heart. It's the middle of the season of summer. So Leo is a fixed or concentrated sign. That's astrology's nice way or not so nice way of saying stubborn. But if we flip that and reframe it to concentrated, what's concentrated fire? The sun. What about the fact that when we use our ovens, we're using a specific temperature, or anytime we're heating up things? And remember, the element fire shows this transformation. Food, when it's cooked, it changes color. And so Leo being the heart, that's the organ that is connected to, as well as the lower back. It's important to understand that when we speak astrology or tarot or the runes or I Ching, we're in metaphor. Well, words are metaphor. And so the more that we use the fire element or allow the fire element to come through us on a spirit visual level, where our intuitive mind perceives the image, connects to the wholeness of the heart. And in that way, we can form the words. And that's a level of cosmic harmony, that equilibrium that we feel between our hearts, that authentic intelligence. And you're going to be hearing a lot of that from me as we go into the artificial intelligence time of our lives that we're already in, as Pluto goes into Aquarius to stay for 20 years on November 19th. And when we talk about Pluto versus the 30-day hashtag Leo season or hashtag Virgo season or hashtag any season, those 30 days that we talk about, when we look at the larger picture, the macrocosmic, which is also comic picture, then we understand that further out the planets are, definitely from an evolutionary perspective, a soulful perspective, how are we in this together viewpoint, then that's the bigger picture, those larger movements, that generational astrology, which, we can look at that way. And then we can look at it how it relates to us individually or undividually. And I'm going to do some more research on undividualism or undivided. Divided we stand, or we fall, united we stand, all of that. And understanding that the nature of our Leo season right now is, how do we do intentional living during this season? Well, with Chiron retrograde at the 23, 24th degree of Aries, that degree, when we look at the symbol, 24th degree of Aries, is called, and I need to put my glasses back on, an open window and a net curtain blowing into a cornucopia. And that's the Sabian symbols. The psychic looked at 360 symbols, degrees of the zodiac. I think her name was Elise Wheeler, and it's Sabian symbols, and it's coming up on its 100th year anniversary. So I know I threw a lot at you, so let's just pause, breathe. Let's top off that breath so we can assimilate what I'm saying here. Artificial intelligence vis-a-vis authentic intelligence. Think of the intellect and its need to separate. And the fire element can come from ego, which is, how am I individual? How can I compete? How can I sharpen my skill set in the external world? A la us as cosmic cooks, that we're recipes, because we're all Leo. When you say my sun sign is, you're talking about, how do I Leo? And with Chiron being at that 24th degree of Aries, back to the Sabian symbol of the open net, that part of the body is the zygomatic muscle right under the cheekbone. That's the muscle that gets us to smile. So, the metaphor of the wounded healer connecting to the muscle that gets us to smile. When did you first learn how to consciously smile, even when your heart was frowning. You know that a frown is just a smile turned upside down. And to add another layer, if you were born with Venus as an evening star, I'm going to keep bringing that home because it's a good way to just distill whether you come from the evening side, which is the lover, the social idealistic side, or what we in our raw material call it an ideal playground. So when we're looking at our shoulds and our oughts and how we fit in, those are the evening star people. That's the evening star side of Venus, the lover side, what I call the Gallup polling side, or the how many followers do I have? How many comments did I get today? Versus the warrior side, the morning star side of Venus, which those individuals want to embody their values. Now, that's a whole nother discussion that I'll be taking up in the fall with Astro RM, astrology plus our raw material. But for the sake of this discussion today, the Leo season, with our wounded healer moving apparently in retrograde or moving backwards in Aries, and understand all retrograde energies, all of them give us the time to reassemble, to connect to our sense of wholeness, what we feel as cosmic harmony emanating from our inner equilibrium, where we sublimate or we submit, we surrender our ego expectations into soulful, anticipatory energies of our innate wholeness. Yes, we do remember what it feels like from the heart to be connected to cosmic whole. Metaphor, Garden of Eden, before eating the apple of duality, the knowledge of the tree of good and breathe. Even the crickets that we listen to right now, the cicadas, that sound is said to bring the hemispheres of our brains together. So the Chiron in Aries, with the wound of where we smile and frown, that's our healing point. And we will need it as we are right now in an evening star Gemini phase. We're coming up on a Mercury retrograde on August 4th through the 28th, and he's going to retrograde back into Leo on August 18th, I believe. Let me look it up, give you the right date. Well, yeah, he conjuncts the sun, this inferior conjunction. That's what us astrologers and astronomers call it on Sunday the 18th. But he moves back into Leo on the 14th of August. What does that mean, moving from going into Virgo, then going back into Leo? What it means specifically for those of you who are born at the tail end of the fixed signs of Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius, your work is cut out for you in terms of paying attention to your thoughts, those images that just seem to download from nowhere, but they're coming from source. Or are they? Well, the retrograde of Mercury gives you the time to shift your intention, your attention, and your intention from the outer world to your inner world. And Leo and Virgo, I love calling these next two door signs. And Leo is the yes but, the beautifully improvisational actor that understands they are on a stage, that we are playing a game. And the trick or the paradox is to play it earnestly from all the world's a stage kind of a thing, but from the heart, that you play your role authentically and hopefully you choose your role. And with Chiron retrograde in Aries, Mercury retrograding in Earth going back into fire, the Virgo is where you become that ultimately beautifully supportive actor that understands 15 million different dialects, that's able to perfect his or her their craft. So what are we saying? We're at a time where we're learning to smile, to set our intentions into motion. Because this new moon on August 4th, which I will talk about as the days move forward, has a lot to do with, Venus being able to be visible in the western skies in her evening star phase, wishing upon a star. That old Rolls Royce joint that Madonna covered. Eh, you know. And she's born on August 16th. So is Angela Bassett. So we can look to see what goes on in their lives. We have a presidential nominee, the Republican. He's born later in June the 14th. So recognize, and he is a child of Mercury. And so with his Gemini sun, and his Uranus is in Gemini, which what that means for our United States in 1776, that's where our Uranus was. So in some ways, he is the embodiment of the ego that allowed those rebels to break away from the British monarchy and start a country based on individualism. But when we don't align those individual uh, values to inclusive ideals, we hold these truths to be self evident, we get where we are today. And understand that this Leo season, what it means for all of us with the retrograde Chiron, with a Mercury going into retrograde, and the fact that we have this new moon on the 4th with Venus going into Virgo. So she shifts from Leo to Virgo on that new moon in August 4th. So we're looking at how do we precisely move and listen to our mature motivations of how do we come from integrity? How do we come from the humility of Virgo and not get enforced humility, which is also known as humiliation? uh, and with to finish with the Sabian symbol is these energies, uh, open window and a net curtain. So we've got this duality of opening our vision, opening, bringing in air, but we have a net curtain over our cornucopia, our symbol of abundance. And just understand that every intentional act is a magical act, thanks to Aleister Crowley. That's one of his statements. And when you look at the fact that we have Mercury and Astrea right on that ascendant here, that suggests in Virgo that the more that we go into our subatomic, our, just our infinitesimal motivations, the more that we're able to determinedly contemplate and study, why did we say that? What were the effects of our words or our actions? And really bring that in humbly, looking at where we might be off from our inner authentic heartfelt truths, listening to collective ego or social identity or clan weaves, whether we lean into the MAGA, we lean into the Democratic, we lean into the labels without understanding the role of our inner truth. That's one of the things this Leo season is all about. It overview, it's important that we intentionally seek our heart's authentic intelligence first, because it'll be our lighthouse in the darkness. Thank you. Happy Venus Friday.